Hey y'all. This is our first Monday musings for July. I completely forgot about it with all of the noise and craziness that was going on in the electrical event purview of the house. But all of that is taken care of, and we are moving on with our lives. And I just want to hop on today. I was called in to pick up a last minute class at a local college. So I'm going to be teaching ceramics at the academic level again for the first time in quite some time. So it's been a little over a year since I've taught as an adjunct teacher, and I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also a little bit nervous because it's a new class for me. It's a new location, but I love the facilities and I'm just really grateful for the opportunity. And that's what I wanted to build into my life, was the opportunity and the flexibility that I could do pick up teaching like this. Because last year when I ended my adjunct teaching career, I wasn't really that fulfilled. I wasn't having a lot of fun doing what I was doing. The location that I was at wasn't great. And then I replaced it with something that was a little bit more financially lucrative for me, but turned into even more of a toxic environment at a nonprofit. But it gave me the financial security to be able to start really putting putting a lot of more effort into my own business building, which was where I wanted to be anyway. Was doing coaching and helping people on a one-on-one level, and being able to provide groups like this in my Patreon as well. So I just wanted to give you all a little bit of that while people are starting to tune in. I know it's a little bit earlier than what I normally plan, but I do have to go get my ID and a variety of other things. I just came from the dentist. So there's a lot of wheels going around, and I've had a couple of, wrenches thrown into it. So it doesn't matter how much you try to go with the flow or how well you try to schedule out your day, some things still happen. So when we have that pop up, it's, go back to your basics, go back to finding what you need in your life for survival and what is lighting you up, making sure that you're resting more, especially like this class is going to be 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and it's an hour drive toward DC for me because I'm based in Frederick, Maryland. And, making sure that I build in time for myself, for my community, for me and my partner, to make sure that we're resting and we're actually having time together. It's going to be a little bit funky for the next 4 to 5 weeks, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's something new. It's a new challenge. And, sometimes we need that in our life. And, since I've been jumping into ceramics again, it's always been a passion of mine, but I had moved so completely toward sculpture and painting, really printmaking, that it had went out of my life a lot. And so now I have a kiln here at the home studio in our garage, and we just got electrical run for it. I have a welder coming in 2 weeks. So there's lots of things to celebrate and be excited about. So I'm really grateful for everything that's happening. But not to digress, I just wanted to hop on and talk about some of the topics for this month, the pruning of our lives, and being able to really jump into that, because just like a gardener, it is a gardener goes in and they weed and they prune and they make sure that they're nurturing the new growth, because if we leave all of that dead weight and decay, everything, it dampens how much light and nutrients are able to get to the actual new growth. And then the herbs, the plants, they're not able to flourish as much. And in our lives, in the gardens of our life, it's very much similar to that. But instead of pruning dead branches or weeding around our herb garden and stuff like that, we actually have to prune out the negativity in our lives, put in boundaries around how much we show up in social spaces, get rid of toxic relationships, and especially remove limiting beliefs. And that in turn, we also need to start creating space. So that allows for positivity, self-love, belief that you're capable of achieving great things, but most of all, making the space to allow that to bloom, allow new doors of opportunity to open. And it's just so important that we are providing that in our community and within ourselves first and foremost, because if we do not take care of ourselves first, we will continually be pouring from an empty cup. And I've been in that space for the majority of my the last 12, 15 years for sure. Probably since really in high school. It has been a very difficult road through burnout and people pleasing and stuff like that. So, you know, as I've learned about putting boundaries in place and putting myself first, my self-care, my own health, you know, there's a lot to be gained from that, but we also get bombarded with different things, because as we put in boundaries in place and start creating space for self-care and for the things that we enjoy so much, we start having things come in, and that's really the most difficult part of the healing path, or one of the most difficult parts, you know, is setting those boundaries and creating space. Because what often happens is our family members, our friends, energy vampires in our life. And it doesn't mean that they're malice or they have ill intent or anything. It's just that they're not used to you saying no. And so in that space, they'll start pushing back because they no longer have you on speed dial to drop everything and come help them or do things for them. But if they are true energy vampires, let them go, because that'll just keep pulling you back, keeping you small. Something that I've been taught since living here in Maryland. I'm originally from Georgia, but I should have heard this before, but Maryland, we all know Maryland crabs are a huge thing. And so everybody uses this metaphor of when you're a crab in a bucket and you get your little claw over the side of the bucket and you start pulling yourself up, then the other crabs start pulling you down because they don't want you to get out and be free. And that's the same thing that happens within friend groups, and as you start raising your vibration and trying to live in a different manner, they start seeing that and they don't want to up level too. They don't want to get out of their gunk. And so they're going to try to keep pulling you down, making it harder for you to have the space and stay in higher vibration. So keeping that in mind is super important to know that that is a possibility that can happen. And, you know, we all tend to fail sometimes, and it's about putting one foot in front of the other. It's not about, oh, I put these boundaries in place, I failed miserably, and I'm not going to do that again. Take a look at what happened and make changes, adjust, and hold yourself in compassion if you haven't been as strong in your boundaries. And then just try again. And as far as space, the same thing is possible. when we create an open space, it automatically gets filled. So if you're trying to focus on self-care, a movement practice, a meditation practice, or something like that, honing out and, sculpting your schedule so that it will allow for more time for yourself, for self-care, it can be difficult. And that's usually one of the first things that gets thrown out of the window when a lot of stuff happens. So being able to block out your time is super important. And I'm going to drop it under the guides section, or if you're watching this on Patreon, I will have this available in the download section. Or if you're not at that level, it'll probably be available in my whole calendar download that you can get on my website in a couple of days. But yeah, sorry, I've been having a lot of allergies lately. I ran out of my medication, so I'm trying to get that back in my system. But anyway, let's see, where was I at? So energy vampires and making space are two of the most difficult things. I wanted to give a metaphor and tell y'all about this cute little dog. Some of my spiritual mentors are metaphysical shop owners in Gettysburg, PA, as Etheric Connections, and they have a customer service dog named Onyx, Ani for short, and he's always being the perfect example of what self-care and boundaries really are. And every time, he has his cuddle, his dog bed right there in the classroom with us, and every time he gets up, he always stretches. He has this little ritual to get himself up and going. He'll shake off, and that's a good way to regulate the nervous system, is to shake and to get energy moving and flowing through your body. And every time he gets up, he actually does a down dog position, sort of like yoga, and an up dog. And it's just, he's getting all of his joints mobile. And as I watch him, I'm like, this is so important. Whether we're doing gentle stretches if we're stuck at a desk, or we've been sitting a while on the couch while we're relaxing, or something like that, having these little, it only takes a minute, to motivate our bodies, and it's priming us, it's keeping us mobile, and that's so important. The other thing is, he clearly states what his physical needs are. Whether he needs a bio break or he's hungry, it's time for a snack. All he has to do is come and stand in front of his mom or one of us that's been coming to the aunties, the aunties in the class that have known him for a while. We all know what his signals are for when he needs to go take a walk, or when he's ready for chicken. He loves chicken and turkey meatballs for sure. But then he also is very evident when his boundaries are not respected, because if he has someone that comes into the shop that's being too clingy, too touchy, or even verbally saying things that he's uncomfortable with, he leaves the room. So, it's crazy that a dog can have so many lessons for us, but it's there. It's a living testament of what we all need to practice. And what was especially even more potent this weekend was he and his family have been moving homes recently, and so he's been, his whole life has been a flurry of activity. Everything's been turned upside down, and he's had to move a lot. So he was sleeping and resting a lot more than what he normally does. Instead of jumping up to greet every customer that came in the door, he would raise his head and then he'd lay back down. When his friend, a border collie named Alaska, comes in for her usual weekend visit, normally he jumps right up and's running around with her. They're best friends and they're having zoomies throughout the crystal shop and everything. But this time, he greeted her with less enthusiasm. He got up, he did his usual greetings, but it was not as excited. He wasn't putting as much energy into it, and that is totally okay. And as soon as he did the usual greetings of Alaska and her mom, he went and laid back down instead of running back and forth with Alaska and checking out all the new smells that were in the shop and all the new people and stuff. So he knew what his boundaries were. And he didn't join her, even though she kept coming back and like sniffing at him and, putting her paws on his bed and everything, trying to encourage him to come and be active. He knew what he needed to do. And so that was a huge, like, aha moment, as I'm sitting there. It's like these simple things that a dog and even my cats, that they do on a daily basis, little small things just for survival, in the simplest terms, are so important. And we as humans in this hustle culture, we often do not even allow ourselves to take care of that. So I hope those lessons find a place for you and help you. I'll be continuing to talk about a few more ways of putting boundaries in place and tracking our schedule and stuff like that, because when we're trying to create space, it might take 3 months. It might take a week to adjust your schedule. But if you're like me and you have contract positions, or if you have commissions or something that are going to take 6 months or something, you have something that is going to be in your life for a long period of time. And so you have to start accommodating that and then slowly making the changes that are necessary. And then when that time, the end comes, not immediately filling it with something else, allowing your equilibrium to levelize and to start doing what you need in that space, rather than just letting it get sucked out by the vortex of do, right? So let me know in the comments or message me anything that really stuck with this. And yeah, just let me know how y'all are doing and how this landed. And I'll be in touch soon. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.